Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is Jiunn Liu. How you doing, Jiunn?
Good.
And today we also have Seth Guys. How you doing, Seth?
Well, good to see you.
All right. So today we are talking about the Cornelius and Anthony Meridian Corona Gorda. Cigar is 5.5 inch by 46 ring gauge. Comes out of the La Zona factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is from Ecuador. The binder is from Nicaragua, and the filler is from Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. It's blended by Hector Alfonso, and price point is $8.25. And the cigar was released in January of 2017. So with all those details out of the way, Jiunn, what was your pre-light experience like?
It was good. I smoked two for this review, and one of the wrapper shade was more like a leathery medium brown Colorado Claro shade. Another one had, a little bit more oil content. That's more like it was a darker, richer shade to it. So perhaps a little bit of an inconsistency, but nonetheless, both felt like they were well constructed. With veins well pressed, seems tight. Bunch of roll felt pretty good. I didn't feel any soft spots, and I got a uniform give throughout. Head finish off with a well-adhered triple cap. Going through the pre-light nosing experience. Off the wrapper, I got some baking spices, cedar and subtle black pepper. When I smelled the foot, white pepper, herbal tea, and like a dry nuttiness, sweetness to it. Cold draw. Got a little bit of a lip tingling black pepper going through, cardboard, and some dry mixed nuts. So overall, it was a good presented cigar.
Seth, what was your pre-light experience like?
It's a well constructed Corona Gorda, and I smoked other Rutolas on the line, and they're all really well rolled, really nice triple cap. Medium sized veins throughout. The wrapper is you can't just say it's a beautiful wrapper and that's going to be really flavorful. But the wrapper was just kind of, it's this natural color. There's no really Colorado aspects I found. It's just kind of this natural, kind of a darker brown. It's not exciting, but it's a natural brown Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. It's a nice texture. The aroma, I really like the aroma. I was getting from the wrapper a lot of spices. There was this rum barrel quality that I got. Leather, tobacco. So I was really excited with the aroma. And the pre-draw was just, it was nice. It was a well-rolled cigar. It was going to have a good draw to him.
Yeah, wrapper was medium brown, had some darker spots throughout, a couple medium-sized veins that were visible near the foot. Seams were smooth but visible, kind of due to the color variations on the wrapper. 3 caps that were applied, really nicely. Cigar has 2 bands, kind of seems to be the common theme with Cornelius and Anthony. So the primary band carries the company, logo, and secondary band carries the name of the line. The aroma from wrapper was like a slightly sweet hay, and the foot gave a really nice fruit sweetness, almost like kind of like peach. Pre-light draw, it was kind of a mix of like damp wood and slightly sweet hay on it, so it was pretty nice. So Jiunn, take us into your flavor notes.
First third, i.e. my favorite part of the cigar. I got some dry wood bread, mixed nuts, and a very distinctive barnyard coming through. Easygoing black pepper spice rounded out the whole profile. In chin, I got some baking spices that entered. When I was retrohaling, I got deeper notes of black pepper, a cream bread, finished long and lingering with notes of like a slightly toasted wood, in a very balanced layer of black pepper. Body, consistent medium, and strength somewhere between medium full. Going to the second third, I felt like the second third was both. In terms of flavors, I felt like it started getting a little thin, and at the same rate, it felt like it was a little better balanced together. Primary notes centered around dry wood, mixed nuts, baking spices. The retro still maintained that deep black pepper I was getting from the first third, but it lost out on the cream bread and picked up a sharp cedar note. Finish, lingering soft black pepper. Body still at that medium mark, and strength is now more of a consistent medium full. Moving to last third. Last third pretty much mimicked the second third every way, in every way aside from the finish. Finish was more of started adding more of a cream bready note to it, while still giving that same lingering soft black pepper spice. Mouth draws still dry wood centric, mixed nuts, baking spices, but for the most part, it was pretty much the same thing as what I got out of the second third.
Seth, what your flavor notes like?
Yeah, the first third, it showed a lot of, there were spices. I got a lot of red pepper notes. There was some leather. There's some wood. There's that toastiness, and I got some citrus qualities to it. It was a flavor profile that, for me, really was just sudden, but it didn't have a long finish. So it was just kind of just like hit you, and then it just kind of just went away. So there wasn't that finish on it, and with it was this medium full body and strength level. So the first third, it was a nice first third, and that was, you're hoping that it's going to progress from there. When I got into the second third, though, it didn't go anywhere. It kept that red pepper, that spice, leather, and some wood, but the citrus qualities kind of went down. It kept that sharpness, still medium full in strength and body, but it just lost some qualities from the first third. It was obvious in that sense. And then as I progressed into the final third, it was a continuation. And this third, the final was losing what was present in the second third. It was just kind of just this spice, a lot of pepper, a little bit of leather notes here and there, still remaining at that medium full level, but it was losing its depth and complexity as it progressed. It had a little bit of that consistency, but it just a positive consistency, you say. So it just kind of nice first third, kind of went down though as it went to the finish.
Yeah. Initial draws kind of brought a mix of like slightly dry oak and bread. And then a 1/4 inch in, that slightly dry oak remained while the bread transitioned to kind of a nuttiness, which is more in the background. 3/4 of an inch in, oak was still up front, and it was kind of alternating between a standard oak profile and a slightly younger one with a little bit of greenness to it. Nuttiness in the background was very faint. Retrohale was like a slightly charred oak. And then an inch in, the profile began to almost be like that of like smoking paper. A little bit of oak popping in here and there. And then 1.5 inches, the oak and the paper were about even, and the profile was fairly drying. As the third came to a close, the paper kind of left the profile, and the oak gained a bit of char, which kind of brought it in line with the retrohale. And the strength level was right at medium. And then getting into the second third, slightly charred oak continued, gained a little bit of cream to it. And then at a 1/4 inch in, that charred oak and cream created a really nice mix. Retrohale was continuing with that slightly charred oak. And then at 3/4 of an inch in, the cream left the profile, and that slightly charred oak remained. 1.25 inches, a little bit of minerality joined in with that slightly charred oak. And then as the third was coming to a close, a little bit of bitterness joined in with that charred oak and minerality. And the strength was bumped up just a little bit, be slightly above medium. Getting to the final third, oak was a bit young, and it kind of showed a little bit of that green profile and a slight bitter bite to it. 1/2 inch in, young oak remains, a good amount of minerality kind of joined back in. And then at 3/4 of an inch in, that minerality kind of dropped back, and the cigar warmed up a little bit, which brought that oak back to kind of a regular level, and also kind of gave it a little bit of a toasty note. 1.25 inches in, the minerality returned kind of full strength and kind of knocked out that toasty note, even though the cigar was kind of still warm at that point. And that's kind of how the cigar finished out for me. And strength had bumped up to actually medium full in that final third. So getting into performance for burn and draw, Jiunn, what was your experience like?
The burn was average. So I talked about earlier how I smoked 2 for this review. And originally I was just going to smoke 1 to see what that was going to be like, but I had this like super pesky like burn issue with where the wrapper just kind of basically refused to burn. So I had to require a couple of like pretty heavy touch-ups. But other than that, burn was long and cool, averaging about 2 hours of smoking time. In terms of the draw, the first one was slightly tight, and the second was slightly loose. But but nonetheless, I thought they were pretty good examples of a draw. But but also within this, it kind of leads me to think that this cigar is perhaps have some. I think it definitely has some construction issues, but maybe it's a function of what like no, that's not true. We got this how long ago? We let it sit for a good month or so.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm not gonna talk about humidor or lack of humidor time, but it had some construction issues, especially on the burn aspect.
Yeah. What was performance like for you, Seth?
I mean, it's the draw. The draw was fine for me. I found it to be a consistent draw. It had a little bit of a, it was a slightly snug, but once again, I don't have a problem with that. It helps you take your time. The burn line wasn't a problem. I never had to retouch it, but it just off and on throughout the entire cigar, it was a little uneven at times, but it was never really an issue. I wouldn't say it was a poorly rolled cigar, but it just, poorly constructed cigar, but it just wasn't, great or even, amazingly well done.
Right. Yeah, the burn for me was slightly wavy the entire time, and then in the final third, cigar went out on me twice, so and I had to do 2 relights on it, so that was a little bit of a disadvantage for the cigar. Ash held on 1-inch increments, so that was pretty good. In regards to the draw, it just slightly tighter than I prefer. Didn't cause any issues, and just kind of a nitpicking thing on my end. So Jiunn, overall, what were your thoughts on the cigar?
I thought this was an average cigar. It seemed like after hearing Seth's take on the cigar, him and I had a pretty similar experience, such that started out pretty good, pleasant bouquet of flavors, but within second third and last third, it just kind of fell apart, and it just kind of became like an average smoking experience, in which I felt like it was a little bit thin in flavors. And that coupled by the wrapper burn issues that was a letdown. But I look forward to the other Vitolas that we got. Hopefully those perform better than this one.
Yeah, Seth, what are your overall thoughts?
As a cigar, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just, as Jiunn says, it's just kind of average. I think if someone's looking for, a cigar that's kind of going to be somewhat one-dimensional, while just delivering these peppery and woody flavors, then yeah, man, it's your cup of tea. But it's overall, I just think it's an average cigar. I don't think there's anything to it. We could get into a lot of other areas, but looking at the cigar, it's just kind of average.
Right. Yeah, flavor started out pretty thin, just kind of wood and paper, but getting into the second third, it picked up a little bit, but then it kind of settled back into that standard oak profile in the final third. Some burn issues present in the final third. Strength was medium plus, so I think, it's probably approachable to most smokers. Not my favorite offering from Cornelius and Anthony, still a decent one. But, grab one, see if it fits your profile. They have lots of different offerings, so you'll find definitely one in the portfolio that'll meet what you're looking for. Like Jiunn said, I'm interested in trying maybe a little bit of a larger Vitola, just to see if it maybe provides a fuller flavor profile. This one just kind of started out too thin for me, so I was hoping for a little bit more. So getting into scores, I think we all scored this pretty close. I mean, Jiunn gave it a 5.65. I gave it a 5.75, and Seth gave it a 5.75. So I think there's just one category that was scored slightly different between the three of us. So Jiunn, any thoughts on how your score matched up?
Oh, it's just basically that score to me is an average experience, and that's exactly what I got out of it. So.
How about you, Seth?
Yeah, I mean it's average. It's one of those things that it's not nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I think it's the same for all of us. I think it's pretty much an average flavor profile. Maybe got bumped up a little bit with some of the performance, but otherwise, kind of an average flavor profile. So, any other final thoughts from any of you guys?
Nope.
Not on the cigar. I mean, I could share some other thoughts, but it's one of those.
All right. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. You can also catch all of our review recaps on podcasts, so iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.